Hi there. Today I'm going to talk about Never Surrender by Jerry Boykin, who was in the US Rangers as an officer and had heard about selection really at the very start of the creation of Delta Force. So he was intrigued by it and decided to put himself forward. One of the chaps he met and partnered up with on the selection course was Pete Shoemaker, who uh, was also an officer, and their careers subsequently very much paralleled each other. They followed the same career progression. So he talks about the selection in detail. I think everybody who's passed selection for SAS, SBS, Delta, etc., um, they always talk about it in their autobiographies because it's such a major step in their life. It's such an accomplishment, and so many fail. So many great guys fail. So it's quite rightly something that they talk about. And he goes into detail. One of the differences between this book and Charlie Beckwith's book is with the passage of time, Jerry Boykin names names. Um, there's, as far as I remember, very no pseudonyms. It's all people's names. And he talks about the importance of selection because of the example of the 1972 attack at the Munich Olympics by the Palestinian terrorists. And at the resolution at First and Fellbrook airfield, where there was a transfer to a helicopter, and the German police snipers opened fire and completely made a hash of it. What Jerry Boykin says, the Germans had tested their commandos' marksmanship, agility, and tactical expertise. They had not tested their resolve. Charlie saw the opposite truth at work in Somalia and Vietnam, when German and Australian counter-terrorist operatives, selected by similar methods, executed flawlessly. The army can train a man to spy, shoot, blow things up, and kill with his bare hands, but he cannot install in a man the series of two-sided personality coins that cash out as successful operative: patience and aggression, precision and audacity, the ability to lead or fall in line. Above all, the army cannot instill resolve beyond physical and mental limits. So Beckwith and Burris designed the Delta Force selection course to test each man's sheer willingness to endure, which is the common denominator that unites small groups of elite fighters who, in extremis, seem to have only each other to rely on. In the freezing mountains of North Carolina, I learned to rely on God. So he passes Delta selection and then goes to the psychological assessment board, which he finds very, very strange. And this was something that Delta brought in and seemed to rely on. And Lofty mentioned to me, he said that basically the regiment uses jungle instead of shrinks. And he said the psychological assessment for Delta placed a lot of reliance on finding out whether a guy would kill. And as Lofty said, the only problem with our guys was stopping them. So he gets assigned to, at the same time as all this is happening, the special forces have stood up a unit called Blue Light under Bob Mantell. And this was their answer to counter-terrorism. And they started training and reaching out for people to train them in specific subjects and so on. However, in the event, they were closed down because Delta managed to stand up the unit and was had the capabilities that the Pentagon needed. So Jerry Boykin is assigned to A Squadron under Bucky Burris, who had been running the selection program. He had trained, he passed SAS selection, so was a very prominent member of the of Delta. And then they go through a validation exercise to test their capabilities. And this was something that the army set up and tested them, and they passed with flying colours. And at the review, they said, that it was an impressive performance. Whereupon Charlie Beckwith just ripped them. He said, "I didn't know there were so many experts at what we do," and that upset the generals, and I don't think it did his career much good. So almost immediately after some of their initial exercises, they are involved in the Iran rescue effort, Operation Eagle Claw. Lots of detail. Um, A Squadron and B Squadron both were there. It's a well-known disaster, and Jerry Boykin's part in it, he talks about. Well, one of the things is before they flew off, he was asked to gather everyone together in a prayer because he is a very deeply committed Christian. And I've got to say that almost all the Delta Force guys I've ever met have been practicing Christians. So after the Iran raid, there's Grenada, Panama, Honduras, where there's an aircraft rescue. He leads, and he's involved in the hunt for Escobar in Colombia, and the successful resolution of that. He commands. He's a troop commander. He's a squadron commander, and he's the unit commander in Delta. And then he goes on to run special activities for the CIA. Very detailed book, full of insights um, from obviously from the officer's point of view, and it's a really good companion to Eric Haney's book. So Never Surrender. It's a soldier's journey, and I really recommend it.